will add credibility to your brand because your content will be accessible to them while they're on the go. BV Mobile Apps also makes apps for bloggers, actors, and producers. The process only takes about 20 minutes. Just go to bvmobileapps.com and click Get Started Now. That's bvmobileapps.com and tell them the Doug Stewart Show sent you. Doug Stewart here to tell you about my man Smooth at smoothtickets.com. Smooth's got the tickets for everything that you need in the world of sports, concerts, or theater. I don't care what it is. I don't care where it's at in this great land of ours. My man Smooth at smoothtickets.com, he got them tickets. I'm telling you, boxing, baseball, NBA, NFL, country music concerts, hard rock, hip-hop, theater, Broadway, he's got them all. And if he don't have them, there ain't none. I'm telling you, smoothtickets.com. Once again, that's smoothtickets.com, or give him a call at 404-374-1150. Once again, that's 404-374-1150. You got to tell him, though, that I sent you. You got to tell him that Doug Stewart sent you. Once again, smoothtickets.com. That's smoothtickets.com. Yeah!
National Debt Relief is one of the country's largest and most reputable debt settlement companies, made up of energetic individuals who are passionate about helping thousands of Americans with debt relief. Most importantly, we're all about helping our customers through a tough financial time in their lives with education and individual customer service. We're dedicated to helping individuals and families rid their lives of burdensome debt, specializing in debt settlement, and they've also negotiated settlements for thousands of creditor and collection accounts. Providing clients with both expertise and proven results, this means helping customers in time of hardship to get out of debt with the least possible cost. It can also mean conducting financial consultations, educating the customer, and recommending the appropriate solution. Core Services offer debt settlement as an alternative. I repeat, alternative to bankruptcy, credit counseling, and debt consolidation. National Debt Relief is your #1 advocate group to help you reestablish financial stability as quickly as possible. So give us a call at 844-828-4975. Again, that's 844-828-4975, and work it out.
Welcome back to the Doug Stewart Show. Yeah. The realest, trillest sports and guy talk show in America. Yes, sir. Yeah. Welcome back to the Doug Stewart Show. The number to the show is 404-382-0338. You can also email me at doug@dougstewartshow.com. We're going to talk about a guy that's about to retire, man, one of the best to ever do it. This is a cat that I think is borderline Hall of Fame even. But we'll talk about him and also his influence on the game and what I'm going to most remember him about. And a top 5 list from that as well. But I wanted to get into these playoff scenarios, and it's very convoluted to talk about this type of thing on radio with all these different scenarios. But here's the NFC. Dallas is already clinched. They are the NFC East Division title and home field advantage champions. They got the home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. Y'all know that. Atlanta has already wrapped up the NFC South Division title. Seattle has already wrapped up the NFC West Division title, and the Giants already have secured a playoff berth. Atlanta clinches a first-round bye. That's right. The Falcons can get a first-round bye if they win. That's all they got to do is beat New Orleans this weekend, and they get a first-round playoff bye. Or if they tie, or if Seattle loses or ties, Seattle lost or Detroit lost a tie, or Seattle tie and a Detroit loss. How about the Seattle Seahawks? The Seahawks, they clinch a first-round bye if they win and an Atlanta loss occurs, or Seattle tie plus Atlanta loss, plus Green Bay/Detroit tie, which is probably not going to happen. Detroit Lions clinch a division title if they win. That's right. All Detroit has to do is win this weekend against the Green Bay Packers, and they secure a playoff berth. Detroit clinches a first-round bye if they win as well. Detroit win plus the Seattle loss, or a tie plus ATL loss. Detroit clinches a playoff berth. Just a lot of convoluted stuff. Once again, in Green Bay Packer, they clinch the division title if they win or tie. Green Bay clinches a playoff berth, or a Washington loss, or a Washington tie plus a Tampa Bay win and a Green Bay loss. So once again, it's very convoluted. The Redskins clinch a playoff berth if they win, plus Green Bay and Detroit game does not end in a tie. So no matter who wins between Green Bay and Detroit, if Washington wins, okay, they're in the playoff this weekend. So they actually have an opportunity to make the playoffs. They have a very good opportunity to make the playoffs. They just have to win their game. Who does the Washington Redskins play this weekend? The Redskins play, you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. The Redskins play the New York Giants. The Giants got some stuff to play for as well. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers clinch a playoff berth if they win, plus a Washington tie, plus a Green Bay loss. So that's very rare that's going to happen. Washington has to tie, Green Bay has to lose, and Tampa Bay clinches a strength of victory tiebreaker over Green Bay because of these ties that we had this year. So very, very strange happenings with that. We'll talk about the AFC later on today's show. The number to the show is 404-382-0338. I wanted to mention the great Steve Smith. The great Steve Smith says that there's an 89% chance that he's going to retire from the NFL this year. Ball award to Steve Smith. Wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens. Basically speaking, as a guy that's walking away from the game, Steve Smith Sr. announced Wednesday that he will probably play his final game of his 16 decorated years in the NFL. This man at 5'9" played and at a high level. Steve Smith played 16 years in the NFL. Praise his holy name. I always root for the little guy, obviously, because a lot of people say that I'm in the category of a little guy, which is not the case. I'm 5'11" and 3/4. I'm almost 6 feet tall. But Steve Smith played 16 years, had a 16-year career in the NFL. He will retire as one of 11 players to record more than 1,000 catches and 14,000 yards receiving. He says, once again, he's 89% sure. That's basically a reference to his jersey number. He says, quote, "Football has given me more than I probably could give football back," Smith said. Once again, playing larger than his 5'9" frame, Smith is one of two players in NFL history to eclipse 13,000 receiving yards and 4,000 return yards. He used to be a return guy early in his career when he was with Carolina, returning kicks. I think he returned punts too. Coming out of Utah, the only other player to do that with the 13,000 receiving yards and 4,000 return yards is Tim Brown. I mean, that's great company. Smith currently ranks 12th in league history in receptions, 1,028, 7th in receiving yards, 14,697 yards, and 25th in touchdowns with 81 touchdowns. 13 years with the Carolina Panthers, and once again spent the last couple of years with the Baltimore Ravens. Ball award, man, on a job well done. I tip my hat to Steve Smith. And one thing I really love about Steve Smith will fight your ass. Yeah. Steve Smith didn't take no mess, man. I mean, he had that attitude, man, where he will fight anybody and everybody, and did. Fought a lot of cats. So it started me thinking, when I started thinking about Steve Smith, man, I mentioned the fact that he is one of the smallest players to ever play in the NFL. They had him listed at 5'9", and Steve Smith probably weighs maybe 200 pounds. Little guy with a lot of heart, though. So I thought about it. I'm going to give you, in the next segment when we get back from the break, I'm going to give you the top 5 NFL players, at least in the last 40 years or so that I've been living and watching football, under the height, 5'9" and under. I've got the definitive list. I'm going to put one more name. I'm trying to decide between 2 people for this last spot. But I'm going to give you the definitive list, the top 5 list on the top 5 players under 5 feet 9 inches tall in NFL history. Yes, sir. So stay tuned for that. Still talking about 2016 as well. From Loose Neck UU Sai, he says they don't make wide receivers like Steve Smith anymore. Heck of a talent, but his heart is bigger, and he will knock your teeth out if you're talking ish. Yes, sir. You better believe it. Just talked about that. From Grego X Squad, he says Steve Smith will be good for TV. Just hope he doesn't go to work for ESPN so that he can be authentic. Yeah. A lot of that is tempered when you do go work for the Puppet Factory. That's why I call it the Puppet Factory. I will say this, though, man. ESPN does allow you to be yourself and does allow you to a large degree. But the problem with them is they got all of these sponsors that they have to, answer to, which that's not a problem. I guess that's just business. But I've seen a lot of cats recently that I think are doing a real good job, much different than your Chris Carter, was when he was there, much different than your Tom Jacksons. I like what Randy Moss and Woodson are doing. I like what they're doing, man. Charles Woodson, they're kind of rough around the edges. That's to be expected because they're new. But I like what they're doing, man. I like their little passion that they're adding. And you get cats like that, man. We'll see how long they allow them to be themselves. But, yeah, I think Steve Smith would be good on TV. I think he'd be real good TV. What happens is the first time you say something that crosses the line with ESPN or their perceived customer base, the biggest demographic of their customer base, then they pull you into the office. Been pulled into the principal's office many a times at ESPN. And eventually that's going to happen with Randy Moss and Charles Woodson and those cats. That's going to happen over time to some degree or another. Just hopefully it doesn't happen to the degree where they totally turn and they're not themselves and, they're just, following the company storylines or whatever, man. I hope they can continue to do what they're doing. I like what they're doing. 404-382-0338. Been there, done that. You can also email me at Doug@thedougstewartshow.com. When we get back from the break, I'm going to give you that top 5 list. And you can probably guess the top 5 guys 5'9" or under. If you think back over the last 40 years, if you're a football fan, the least, you know exactly who I'm talking about. You definitely know who number 1 is. It's number 3 through 5. Number 3 might shock you as who I have listed. That's going to be good. When we get back, we'll get into that. We'll read more of your chat. We'll continue to talk about these NFL playoff scenarios. You got to get into some college football talk. Muscle Hamster. We figured out why you are the Muscle Hamster. Yeah. And Tom Coughlin back in Jacksonville? We'll get into all of that today on the Doug Stewart Show. Don't go away. What is ID Life? Well, over the last 18 years, a group of scientists and doctors have been working on the development of a one-of-a-kind nutritional supplement program that takes all the guesswork out of what you need and delivers your truly personalized pharmaceutical-grade nutrition with your name on it directly to your door. Through the integration of thousands of medical and scientific studies, answers you provide to the free assessment, and more than 5,470 algorithms that process the data, ID Nutrition recommends